Chapter 2, Graphs, Charts, and Tables, Describing Your Data. In this video, we'll learn more about bar charts and pie charts. In a separate video, I'll show you how to do it in Excel. So in section 2.2, you learned about bar charts, pie charts, and stem and leaf diagrams. We're actually not going to use the stem and leaf diagram because I've actually never seen it used in business, so it will not be covered on any exams. Instead, we'll focus more on how to display categorical data, which is essentially qualitative data such as gender, political affiliation. It's information that is not numeric. So with a bar chart, this is a graphical representation of a categorical data set in which a rectangle or bar is drawn over each category or class. The length or height of each bar represents the frequency or percentage of observations or some other measure. So in this chart, I'm displaying the excuses that students have given to me for being late to class. For instance, I got stuck in traffic, I forgot to set my alarm, I thought it was Saturday, or I had no clean clothes, for instance. So as you can see, the longest bar at 26 students is that they forgot to set their alarm. Now, many people ask, what's the difference between a bar chart and a histogram that we learned in section 2.1? The common error is that with histograms, we are counting the frequency of a numeric value that occurs. So we're counting numbers and how many times they appear. Whereas bar charts are really meant for categorical data. So think categories. Instead, we're counting the number of people in a particular category. The number of people who gave me an excuse that they were stuck in traffic, or the number of people who said they thought it was a Saturday. Now, to construct our bar chart, in step 1, we want to define the categories for our variable of interest. So you can see in our example here, our different categories are automobile companies. Now, we also need to determine the appropriate measure to display. So in this case, we want to display the number of cars sold in 2015. Then we'll go ahead and use Excel to develop the bar chart. And the bar chart will then allow us to interpret the results. So as you can see, General Motors outsold its competitors such as Volkswagen and BMW in 2015. Now with pie charts, these are typically used to show the parts of a whole. So think of the circle as being divided into slices, and each slice represents a category or class that's displayed. Now the size of each slice is proportional to the magnitude of the displayed variable for each category or class. So to construct our pie chart, the first thing we want to do in step 1 is to define the categories for our variable of interest. So in this example here, our variable of interest is social media platforms. And so the different categories we have are Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, or other. Now in step 2, we want to determine the appropriate measure or value. So imagine this is the percentage of people using this particular platform primarily. And then in step 3, we'll use Excel to create the pie chart where each slice represents each category. Now, pie charts are sometimes mistakenly used when a bar chart would have been more appropriate. So for example, a few years ago, the student leaders at Boise State University wanted to draw attention to the funding inequities among the 4 public universities in Idaho. To do so, they rented a large billboard which contained a large pie chart like the one you see here, where each slice indicated the funding per student at a given university. For the pie chart to be appropriate, the slices of the pie should represent the parts of a whole. Instead, the amounts merely represented the dollars of state money spent per student at each university. So the sum of the $4 amounts in the pie chart was meaningless. In this case, a bar chart would have been more appropriate because then you can see which university had higher spending per student than the others. So if you have any questions, just let me know.